Coming up next on the CHGO Cubs podcast presented by Toyota and Bet365. A blown game, a blown series, but most importantly and most concerning, an injury to Daniel Palencia. We'll talk about that. Jared Wyllys is at the ballpark for us. Plus, we will talk D. Lee and Sammy Sosa. CHGO Cubs next. Hey, Chicago, what do you say? It's the CHGO Cubs podcast, driven by Toyota, Let's Go Places, and Bet365. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary. Use the code CHGO365 at signup. 6-3 Nationals win it in shocking fashion in the ninth inning. Luke Stuckmeyer, Kevin Wells, Sarah running the ones and twos. We have a lot to talk about, including the Palencia injury, what that might mean. Our guy Jared Wyllys is at the ballpark. If he's able to join us before the end of this podcast, he will join us live from Wrigley Field. Hi to everybody in the live YouTube chat. Want to tell you about something, before we dig into this, about something special that we're doing here at CHGO during the month of September. I want you to think about all your favorite players. Maybe it's D. Lee, right? Somebody from today.
Oh, yeah.
Every single one of your favorite athletes, one of them had a head coach, a mentor, or a family member who believed in them first. Somebody who saw their potential and gave them the confidence to then go for it. That's what Big Brothers Big Sisters does every single day. They create those life-changing connections for kids in our community. So this month in September, here at CHGO, we are partnering with Big Brothers Big Sisters of America to help fund their mission. Your donation ensures another child gets a mentor, a role model, a champion in their corner. You could be that champion. If you're watching on YouTube, you can donate directly by hitting the donation button right on your screen. That's the handshake button that you'll see show up. If you're listening to us in podcast form, please head to bbbs.org/allcity. Let's help ignite the potential of the next generation. Again, for our podcast listeners, it's bbbs.org/allcity. We thank you. Any donation can make a big difference. And if you can, we hope you will help us out and help Big Brothers Big Sisters of America. All right. We'll probably talk about that again later in the podcast. We've got a diehard deal we want to tell you about. But this game went from, hey, they're going to win a series, and I like the comfort of giving Palencia an insurance run with a home run and a 2-run lead entering the ninth, to why is he throwing high 90s instead of 100? Why is he not out of the game? Why did he just give up a second home run? And, oh, no, it looks like Daniel Palencia was hurt. We'll hope to have information about that soon. But, Kevin, right off the top, how concerned are you about Daniel Palencia, not even knowing the status of his injury yet?
He's kind of been flirting with disaster a lot this second half. You know, he's shown signs of dominance with the fastball. He's got one of the best fastballs in baseball. And I'm kind of looking back at his chart here through that ninth inning. So he threw 13 pitches, 7 of those four-seam fastballs. He averaged around just over 100 miles an hour with that fastball, which is usually where he sits. So the splitter, though, was down significantly. So hit 102 with one fastball, but the rest were around 100, maybe a couple 99s in there. So the concern with me right off the bat is who slides into that role right away. I don't think it's going to be – the Cubs don't go by the closer name per se. They go by high-leverage relievers versus low-leverage guys and where guys can slot in. So I don't think that this is going to be a, oh, my God, we got to pivot to Brad Keller being the guy and closer. I think Brad Keller still gets the most important outs of the game.
That's 100%, yeah.
And it'll be situational, right? It's going to be more of a closer-by-committee role because, quite frankly, Palencia is probably done for the regular season. That we don't know, but he came out and he looked like he was in a lot of pain. We're not going to speculate on the injury yet. It could have been he kind of twisted weird. He landed weird on the mound. His arm was kind of still as he was going into the clubhouse. So, yeah, Jared Wyllys is there. He'll tell us about it. But, I mean, it's concerning because this was a position that it would have been an expensive upgrade at the trade deadline. You chose not to, and it looked like a pretty good decision. Might still be a good call. And Porter Hodge still getting ramped up. Maybe you have some depth there and some guys who showed you some stuff early on in the year, but this is the kind of role that, and why closers are so expensive at the deadline, because these guys get hurt. They hawk 100 miles an hour. They do blow saves every once in a while, and you like to have options back there should an injury like this happen. And I'm not sure they do have a guy that immediately slots in, but this is the type of thing that I have a lot of confidence in Craig Counsell in. So I'm concerned about it, but you have the right manager to plug and play the correct role for whoever is going to take that job through the next 3 weeks to end the regular season, because I'll be honest, it looks like we're going to see an IL stint for Palencia, and I'd be surprised if we saw him for the rest of the season, regular season. We'll
see what the Cubs say after this, and then we'll see what happens with the games this week. I'll just tell you, I'm concerned. I was concerned about this last week when we talked about it multiple times, saying I just threw out the notion of, are you 100% that Palencia is your closer? And we came to the conclusion, yes, he's our closer, but Keller should get the most important outs in a playoff game. And so at times, if that means the last 3 outs of the game, that Keller was still my guy. But Palencia was, quote-unquote, the closer still. Even though you've seen trends the last, it's just been dirty, right? He's had a lot of traffic. It hasn't been as clean. You've seen him get a little rattled. This is a totally different situation. I was never considering that he was injured. I was starting to think that the guy's never thrown this much in his career. He's being used in these high-leverage closer situations, and maybe he's getting tired at the end of the season. So I wanted to see them scale him back a bit. Now an injury pushes Keller into the forefront of this. No question about that. You hope that Porter Hodge can kind of grab something that he had last year, and somehow he found it down there in the minors, can come back, and he's had a couple outings now where it's a little more encouraging. But an injury to Palencia, the first thing that popped into our mind is, why is he still out there?
Yeah, it didn't look like he had it in the first couple at bats. I mean, the hard hit percentage is already high for him, and when he gets shelled once, it's kind of concerning when you see him Palencia almost he's a young closer. He's still learning the role. They've kind of played him in a bunch of different spots the couple of years he's been in the Cubs organization. So trying to still kind of hone in on this role, he almost overcompensates or tries to overcorrect his mistakes when he starts making them. Yeah. And you see that. You see that in the mannerisms on the mound. You see that with how badly he misses sometimes with the four-seam. After he gives up a home run, you see the command start to falter a little bit more because I don't know if he panics. I don't know if that's the right word, but he gets nervous up there and starts to try to make pitches and force stuff, and he's not pitching anymore. He's just trying to hawk it in there, and that can work for some guys, but after he gives up 2 base runners, it's okay, for the trend in what we've seen the last couple weeks, yes, I'm surprised he's still out there.
We don't have anything specific other than Bruce Levine just tweeted, Cubs closer Daniel Palencia with a right shoulder injury, which was pretty obvious. Team will wait to evaluate, could be facing missed time. Listen, it doesn't sound positive.
Yeah, shoulder injury.
I would assume he's going to have an MRI tomorrow, and they're going to look at some stuff and try to figure it out. Again, when I say I was sitting there watching the game, and you were too, wondering why is he still in there, it wasn't about chasing down the Brewers or a wild card spot. They're in the wild card. They're gonna have a wild card spot. They're not winning the division. If you don't believe that yet, then I don't know what to tell you. Yeah. They're pretty solid as a wild card team, and they are not winning the division.
They're 9 games up in the wild card.
Yeah, they have 19 games left to play after today. What I was concerned about why he was in the game was what I was talking about before. Is he getting tired? We see he doesn't have it, right? Whether that's the splitter being 98 or whether that's just him not locating. He doesn't have it. Why are we wasting bullets from this guy's arm? Get him out of there.
Yeah.
And then we did it long enough that he tried to push it because he was frustrated. And the way it looked is he hit 100 and instantly was frustrated with himself because of an injury to his right shoulder.
Yeah, I'm looking at right now the four-seam. He got 1 whiff on it in 7 swings, so a lot of contact there, and that's supposed to be your best pitch. So that's automatically not a good sign. But it's also something we've seen a little bit more from in the last couple of weeks. The slider, 2 whiffs on the slider today. So he threw that 3 times, got 2 whiffs. So that's positive, but you're right. This is one of those where Tommy Hotovy's expressed a ton of confidence in Palencia, so's Counsell. And maybe it's because it's the Nationals lineup. Like, hey, he gave up a home run. Let's let him work through it. We don't think that, Josh Bell's had a horrendous year at the plate for the Nationals. Yeah. And he comes up and he smokes one. He gets it into the basket. I mean, it just snuck out through the wind. Yeah. So it's one of those where you let him ride it out. Personally, I wouldn't have. It just looked, after he gives up 2 base runners after getting shelled, that to me. But they didn't have anybody warming up. Maybe you don't want to use hot. There's a lot more going into it than just armchair, I want him out of the game, right? Maybe you don't want to burn up another reliever. You want to try and work through against a last-place team. But I don't know, man. It's felt like that the last couple weeks for Palencia. A lot of traffic on the bases. He's not getting as much swing and miss. The velocity wasn't down today as much as I originally thought looking at it, but it was still down. And that should be a sign when he's not throwing the fastball.
Yeah.
Maybe yank him out of the game or try somebody else because, maybe he's tired.
All right, Brendan Miller, the pitch doctor here at CHGO, has been listening to the press conference, and he says Craig Counsell said posterior shoulder tightness, a very minor similar incident a couple of months ago that cleared quickly.
Okay.
He will be down a few days with evaluation, met with doctors already.
Okay.
I saw that Bob Nightingale said the same thing, the tightness, and is undergoing testing. So
it sounds like a, I don't know. It doesn't. We never know either with count. They tend not to give away a lot of this early.
We have no idea how serious this is, but
right.
I just know that he's not going to. Him not pitching for a couple days doesn't bother me.
No,
that's why I didn't have a problem with him coming out. And I know everybody's upset that they lost a series to the Nationals because the Nationals stink, right?
Yeah.
I understand that. In the grand scheme of where they're going this season into the postseason, I think it's going to have little effect and none at all. I just want to see guys start to get right. The last thing you want to see is PCA with an injury, Tucker with an injury, now
right.
Palencia with an injury. Those are 3 pretty big names. Now, we don't know if any of them are going to be serious, but it's not ideal going down the stretch in September that you have 3 key players that are now banged up. And we'll talk about the other 2, in just a bit. Palencia has been a great story this year. A great story. Do I think he's the closer of the future for the Cubs? Yes, I do. Did I hope that he was going to continue this electric ride all the way through the postseason? Yes, and he still might, but I haven't liked the trend that I've seen. Not enough for me to say he's not the closer, but just enough to, if I had to put things that I was concerned about in order, 1 through 10, the way Palencia's been kind of pitching, just not even looking at numbers at all, just watching him throw, the way he's been pitching lately in the last few weeks, and knowing that he's a young pitcher who hasn't always thrown this much, it was at least top 3. Mm-hmm. Now it's got to be top 2, right? Like PCA and Tucker are 1, but man, if Palencia isn't right there. And the only reason it's not right at the top of the list is because Keller has been so dependable this season. But I also love Keller in the role that he's been in.
Yeah, the thing with Brad Keller and why I put out the poll on Twitter, go ahead and vote on it or voice your opinion in the chat. Who do you want to take over that role? Is it the field or Brad Keller? And to me, it's the field just because I think Brad Keller is more of a plug-and-play role. He's going to be used situationally. He's going to be used against the matchups in the harder part of the lineups. He's going to be used in different innings. He's going to be used in dirty innings. Should this be a minor thing for Palencia? Should it not be anything serious? We don't know that. We don't know if it's going to be serious. He's meeting with doctors, etc. But should these games, once they get down to high-intensity, playoff atmosphere type games, hopefully they're at home, Brad Keller is going to be the guy who comes in and is the immediate stopgap guy. That's why I'm not going to say, oh, yeah, he's the 9th inning guy. I don't think that'll be the case. him and Thielbar have been the two, hey, we need you guys to hunker down here and get the outs that you need to. That's why Palencia's role was so important, because he wasn't ever that guy. You could just pencil him in the ninth inning, and then you were free to kind of move guys around the way you wanted to in the 6th, 7th, 8th, and in the 6th, 7th, 8th innings, which is huge. This just complicates things a little bit. And I am concerned because when you have a guy who has the most dominant pitch on your team, Palencia's fastball is the best pitch on the Chicago Cubs. Cade Horton's kind of getting there with some of his pitches, but right now, Palencia's got one of the best fastballs in baseball. Whenever you lose that type of weaponry in the back of the bullpen, that's not great, and it is concerning for sure. And I'm hoping that when it comes down to it, hopefully the Cubs have enough bullets to fire from Iowa to fill, those innings for the rest of the season here. I mean, they're going to make the playoffs. It's all going to be about getting there now. They might be limping in, but who knows?
All right, we'll ask you another question on the other side, and that is, who might be a key piece to the bullpen now moving forward? Not saying Palencia is done, but they're going to need another arm there. Who's going to be that person? We'll get to that in a second, but first a word from our sponsors. At Toyota's national sales event, they've got a long lineup of vehicles set for fun, and Cubs fans, with fall here, Toyota has 25 vehicles available with all-wheel drive and four-wheel drive. The RAV4 has legendary versatility. The Grand Highlander's adult-size third row is for real, and the Tacoma's wild side comes standard. From job sites to campsites to game nights, there's all-wheel drive or four-wheel drive Toyotas ready to get you there in style. Find yours at Toyota.com and visit Chicago's Toyota dealers. Toyota, let's go places. Great time to become a CHGO diehard. Bears season is here. Don't miss anything from Adam Hogue, Adam Johns, and the crew. We are ready to go. Get access to our exclusive written content, a free t-shirt, plenty of discounts on future merch, the Discord Lounge. Go to all CHGO for the latest information on how you can join thousands of CHGO diehards already in our community. We can't wait to connect with you on an even greater level. Okay, let's get real for a second. The world has gone soft. Everybody gets a trophy for just showing up. Everything needs to be bubble wrapped. Soda used to have some kick. Now it's about pretty colors and easy fizz. RC Cola is not a soft drink. It's a damn good cola. It's the original cola that doesn't fold under pressure. RC is an OG cola in the world of spineless soft drinks. No trends, no gimmicks, no glow-up. RC Cola hasn't changed its stripe since 1905 because it didn't need to. It's the same bold flavor it's always had. Crisp, I like to say. RC Cola tastes like a punch in the thirst. Do yourself a favor. Grab some RC Cola. Stock up for those summer parties, back-to-school celebrations, and watching games. RC Cola is the move for whatever you might be doing. Cubs lose 6-3. They had a 3-1 lead entering the ninth inning. Daniel Palencia ends up giving up 5 earned runs, 2 home runs, and leaves with tightness in his throwing shoulder, and he is now being tested for that. We already know that he's going to be out for a couple games. We found out that, according to Craig Counsell, Kyle Tucker will not be in the lineup tomorrow. We'll see where PCA is with his injury, but we'll get to all that in a second. I want to follow up on all of it. I still want to talk about Carson Kelly and all the good things that did happen, but want to tell you because we know we're an important podcast today because everybody's watching the NFL.
Yeah.
So we got to tell people what
including
actually
us.
happened.
Right. We had that on too.
We know that people were maybe watching with a quarter of an eye the Cubs game today. So this is what's going on. We know tomorrow's a big day, and we have our diehard deal right now is a great one. And now we have tiers to it. We call it the tailgate tier. Now the base tier right now is a limited time deal, $59 for the first year for those of you signing up. Okay? That's an unbelievable deal. First of all, so you get Adam John's articles, you get Adam Hogue's articles, you get Bragg's, you get Carm, you get the full package, right? You get everything. Plus, you get all the Cubs stuff. Jared Wells, you want to find out what's going on with Palencia? Jared Wells will be writing about it, okay? All of those things, plus the discounts on the merch. But tomorrow, Monday night, will be the first Bears tailgate of the season for CHGO. Back in the same place we were last year. Do you know the address offhand, Sarah? I don't. It's across from the White Castle.
Wabash. Yeah.
On Wabash, yeah. same thing. Tailgate tier right now in the Die Hard deal, $89.99. That's the introductory offer. Normally that'd be $119. Plus, you get the free T-shirt. And in this tailgate tier right now, 2 Bears tailgate tickets. That's $140 value right there.
Nice.
You and your friend get into one of our Bears tailgates for free. And that's all the food you can handle. That's all the drink you can handle, all the vibes you can handle before a Bears game. Even if you're not going to a game, it's a great place to hang out. That's what I like to do. All right, so anyways, that's the Die Hard deal right now. Specials going on for you right there. Back to the Cubs, because this is a Cubs podcast. And we're here to tell you, while you're watching the NFL, what's going on with the Cubs. Palencia gave up the 5 earned runs. That's the big concern. I asked before we went to break, okay, they're looking at his shoulder. They're most certainly going to have testing on his shoulder. Who could be somebody that would step up in the bullpen? Now, I'm not saying like who's taking over the closer role. We think obviously the most important outs should have been going to Keller anyways, and now that might include more times as the closer. I'm asking who can be an impact reliever down the stretch that right now you're looking at saying, well, not really. For a long time, we thought that guy was going to be Ben Brown. I think a lot of people thought Ben Brown would go from the rotation and, hey, that'll play in the bullpen. He can be that effective guy. I don't know if Ben Brown is that guy, okay?
I'm not sure either yet.
I think, this is what I think, when the games are important, because right now these are just games we're playing out to see what's going to happen, and they're going to get in. I think that guy is Javier Assad. I think Javier Assad is a key name because he's not going to be starting games in the postseason. Okay, he's not. And Colin Rea is still there to be your long guy if you need to, and we're going to have Tyone be a factor eventually in that group again. I think Javier Assad going back to reliever is a key. Now, one other one might be Soroka. If you can get Soroka healthy. He was effective as a closer at times, right? If you can get him healthy, maybe he never starts a game for the Cubs.
He's a name I think a lot of us tend to forget, right? Because he threw for 5 seconds. Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, I like the Assad pull. And the reason I think a couple of weeks ago I was on here saying, listen, with Assad back, that seems like the guy they want to pencil in as a starter, and maybe that could signal the end of Colin Rea's time in the rotation, but it hasn't. I was wrong about that take. And Colin Rea has been excellent. Again, he's still giving you excellent baseball, excellent innings, something you can pretty much hang your hat on in the 5th spot in your rotation. I know you started with an opener today, but, yeah, I mean, listen, if that's the move they tend to go to, because you're right, I mean, Assad's not going to start a postseason game for this team right now.
No.
Maybe as an opener, but he's not going to be he's not your 1, 2, 3. So if you want to put him in the pen, great. That's a solid move. That's a really nice. He's a guy great with guys on base. Gets a lot of swing and miss. The strikeouts have been pretty nice seeing him the last couple of weeks here. So
I like the ass man in the bullpen.
I do too.
When it comes postseason time, that's what I like seeing coming out. Go back to the World Baseball Classic and him pitching in the bullpen. I just think he's super valuable, and Counsell loves him because he can do either. He can do both of those, just like Colin Rea can do it. But I like Assad in the bullpen more than I like him as a starter. As a starter, I like him for like 4 innings.
Right.
That's where I like him. And Colin Rea did exactly what you wanted him to do. I mean, I don't know what we expected out of Colin Rea this season, but he's exceeded those projections.
Oh, tenfold.
And I love him with the opener because it gets him deeper into the game, because that next time through the order at the top doesn't come as soon, because his numbers are staggeringly worse the 3rd time through the order.
And I'm looking at the chat, and it says there was one in there saying, what do you mean they have the right manager to put on this bullpen? Today's a perfect example. You start with the opener, the 2 lefties to face a lefty-heavy top half of the lineup. Pomeranz goes through, I believe, strikes out 2 guys, gets a weak pop-out. Yes, Craig Counsell's the guy you want in these. He's always been good at that. I know people will get mad at guys, bullpen guys give up runs. It happens. Closers blow saves. It's not just the Cubs. Like, I need, you guys got to breathe a little bit. Like, Craig Counsell has had a proven track record of showing he knows how to plug and play the correct relievers. Does he leave guys in for too long? Yes. Is he perfect at this? No. but he has a really good feel for this bullpen. He said it back in June, and the Cubs bullpen has been one of the best in baseball this season. Whether anybody wants to admit it or not, as sexy as it's been or unsexy as it's been towards the end with some of these blown saves, this bullpen's really good. The starting rotation is really good. They've built plenty of depth there. So, yes, the Assad thing makes a lot of sense because, maybe you tried to stretch him out as a starter, and he gave you some valuable innings here, especially when he came back in mid-August there. But, yeah, he's not going to be a guy that you're going to pencil into a start in the postseason, especially in the wild card. No. So I do kind of like that role, and I have a lot more faith in Javier Assad at this moment in time than I do Ben Brown. So all I'm saying is there's a lot of talk right now about where have the Cubs been since June? Yeah, it's not been as good as they started the year.
44-40?
Yeah, it's not been as good. No, it hasn't been. But Kyle Tucker was banged up. He broke his finger, for God's sakes. He wasn't hitting that well. The Cubs have not had a single month this year where they finished under the 500 threshold, guys. Yes, these series happen. It's tough. It's bad to lose to the Nationals. Today stunk. I'm with you. But they have a 9-game lead in the wild card, and there's a lot of people saying this team has nothing good for them. The offense stinks, blah, blah. Yes, I know it's not good, but man, oh man, we got to breathe here, folks.
So can I ask you a question? You mentioned Kyle Tucker.
Yeah.
And we've seen the chat already saying that Counsell has said he's not going to play tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's
Pete might play tomorrow, by the way.
Pete might play.
Pete might play tomorrow.
All right. Maybe I'm a meatball. I probably am a meatball. I've eaten a few meatballs in my life. I've eaten a few donuts in my life. Why aren't they just putting him on the IL?
I don't know, man.
Why are they so afraid of the injured list with Kyle Tucker?
They were afraid of the injured list last year with Dansby Swanson, too.
To me, there's nothing more
That's what I don't understand.
To this team. Like I said, Palencia, PC, all those things. Getting Kyle Tucker 100% healthy and right is the most important thing the Cubs have to do. And then after that, it's PCA and Seiya, yada, yada, and Palencia. All of those things are important. You've got to get Kyle Tucker right. Why let this linger and try to get him back to get a couple more extra games here? Just let him get right. I don't know why they seem so against putting him on the IL. I know a player has to agree to it, right? I know a player's got to agree that they want to be out, but come on.
I'm not sure either. I mean, this has been a consistent criticism that we've had of the Cubs for quite some time. I mean, it was all last year with Dansby Swanson. Everybody wanted to blame Dansby Swanson for being, such a horrendous hitter at the plate, and it turned out he was hurt the whole year.
Yeah.
He was playing hurt the whole year. So yes, it's a little bit on the players have to agree. So it's not just a Jed Hoyer or Carter Hawkins thing, Craig Counsell thing. It is on the player too. So I'm not sure where this discrepancy lies. Maybe they don't want Kyle Tucker gone for all 10 days. The pitching thing is a little different. This is worth mentioning because we're looking at maybe looking at Palencia going on the injured list here. Pitchers have to be on an injured list for a minimum of 15 days. That's 2 full weeks, so it's a little different. You can't put a pitcher on the 10-day IL. That's only position players. So,
well, it's also why we think Palencia, his days in the regular season are limited.
But I'm looking
running out of time.
I'm looking at the Cubs' schedule here, and it would have been a perfect opportunity to put Tucker on the 10-day IL and let Casey come back up, who was playing pretty well when he was up here, by the way, because you don't play a team above 500 until September 18th when you play the Reds. You got the Braves for 3 more, then Tampa for 2, and then you play the Pirates. All winnable games, all of them. And then the Reds. The Reds have been really fallen out of position lately, too. So even though the Reds were above 500 for a little bit there, I don't know where they sit today. Let's check really quick. They are...
The Giants
I'm not
have been
sure
the
where
team
they sit,
scaring
the Giants have been the one...
They've been kind of creeping up in that wild card. They're 4 back of the Mets.
Yeah, so the Reds
right now
are
the
one
Cubs
game
play
over.
The Mets.
The Reds are 1 game over, so they've kind of fallen back here. So I'm not sure. I wish I could answer that question, and I hope that we do get an answer on that at some point, and not just the runaround, because I think that's valued criticism on your part there. Why is Kyle Tucker not on the injured list? If he's not going to play for 5 days, what's another 5 days? You're not playing good teams right now, and you're in the wild card picture. Put him down. Let him rest. It's not going to change what money he's going to make this offseason.
No. I don't believe it either. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, I want to talk about Sammy. I want to talk about D. Lee, and we hope that Jared Wyllys will be able to join us from the ballpark to talk about both those guys and as well the injury to Palencia during the game. But first, a word from our sponsors at CHGO. Get ready for epic family fun. Monster Jam is coming to Rosemont. The world's most popular Monster Jam trucks and best drivers roar into Allstate Arena from September 12th to the 14th. Non-stop excitement with gravity-defying stunts, heart-pounding races, and plenty of big air. The world's best drivers tear up the dirt as they battle for the event championship in 3 competitions: racing, two-wheel skills, and everybody's favorite, freestyle. Monster Jam trucks defy the laws of physics and do the impossible. Experience Monster Jam live. Become a fan for life. September 12th to the 14th at Allstate Arena. Get ready to cheer and be amazed as massive monster trucks and world champion drivers take over Rosemont for a weekend. Tickets now on sale at www.monsterjam.com. Get ready to cheer and be massive fans. All right, feel organized and confident in your finances with Monarch Money, an all-in-one personal finance tool. And right now, for our listeners, Monarch is offering 50% off your first year. That's right. You got to keep an eye on your finances. Monarch Money is built for people with busy lives. If you've put off organizing your finances, Monarch is for you. They do all the heavy lifting. Don't leave money on the table. When you're making money, it's easy to get complacent, but you don't have to really keep track of every single dollar. But at the same time, ignoring your finances can really cost you. Don't let the financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use the code CHGO at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with the code CHGO. One of the biggest reasons relationships fail: money problems. Monarch Money can help you out at home and help you out with your finances. Cubs lose 6-3, blew a 3-1 lead in the 9th inning. Our Jared Wyllys was out at the ballpark because it was first of all, it was a big weekend. We had Sammy, Sosa, and D. Lee back at the ballpark. They go into the Cubs Hall of Fame. Their plaques go up. They get honored before the game. And then it turned out that this was an important game to have somebody there as well, like Jared, because Daniel Palencia not only blows the game, but leaves with an injury that is pretty concerning moving forward with 19 games to go. Jared, can you hear us all right?
Yeah, I've got you guys.
What's up, Jared?
Jared, how you doing? And what's the latest update on? We've seen some of the Twitter stuff, but what's the latest feel about the Palencia injury?
Yeah, unfortunately it does look like something that could be like he's probably headed for the injured list. The right posterior tightness, I think, is how they worded it. Right posterior shoulder tightness, I should say. And just judging by, and I'm sure you guys could see it on the broadcast, but when Palencia came out, and then even as he was walking through the dugout and back into the tunnel to go to the locker room to get looked at, you see the way that he was holding his right arm. That didn't look good. It was really just dangling there, which is not, it doesn't bode well. And so the timing of this, of course, is, this is trouble, because if this does prove to be something that's significant, you're looking at going into the playoffs now with the guy who had kind of more or less established himself as your closer, and maybe now you don't have him, and you're back to, now we got to try some other options. So it's definitely something that I think is a significant concern, but usually we know more the next day after they've had a chance to take a look. And we'll get a little more detailed information probably on Monday. But based on just the preliminary response, it doesn't look good.
Jared, is Craig Counsell the right guy to be in this situation to try to figure out how to fill that void? Because personally, I think he's shown that he is that guy, but there's a lot of pushback from fans about, everybody's, the bullpen is kind of like the backup quarterback, right? Everyone wants to blame the starter when it's not going right. Everybody wants to blame the bullpen when things aren't going right, even though this Cubs bullpen has been very good this season. Is Counsell is he the right guy in your eyes to kind of fill that void and figure out how to plug and play and figure out how to close games now with Palencia probably on the shelf for a little bit here?
Yeah, I think if I don't want to call it like a silver lining because that doesn't feel quite right, but if there is something to like kind of hang some optimism on, it is probably the fact that of all the managers currently in Major League Baseball, that I would feel good about figuring out how to use a bullpen and manipulate a bullpen in order to get through something like this. He's a guy that's right there at the top of the list. It's something he's been known for years now, going way back before he came to Chicago. And you don't have to think too hard to think about, like, there are some legitimate options. We saw even Brad Keller in the 8th inning and how great he's looked since the middle of July or so. Keller's looked great. Caleb Thielbar has been solid all season long. And, I don't want to make any judgments too soon, but Porter Hodge, since he's been back, has been encouraging at least. And so there's probably going to be some spots where Hodge might get the nod in the 9th inning. But I do think, Kevin, like kind of to your point, is what you're probably going to see over the next few weeks is there isn't going to be the closer. It's just going to be whoever the matchup kind of favors that day.
Jared, outside of the injury to Palencia and obviously, a nice game for Carson Kelly, what was the atmosphere like with Sammy and D. Lee out there? The first thing that I thought of when I saw them both on the field was, I was around D. Lee for all of his years here in Chicago, and he's a big dude, right? But when he stands next to Sammy Sosa, you look and go, man, D. Lee is a big guy. Like, he makes Sammy look small almost, right? Like, when they stand next to each other, you're like, well, Sammy's not. You think of Sammy being this huge figure, and he is a big guy, but next to D. Lee, it's like he dwarfed him almost, right? Like, he was that much bigger.
Yeah, he really is, and I've had the chance to see, talk to, be around Derrek Lee in the last few years between Cubs conventions and then of course this most recent one back in January when he was there. But yeah, to kind of be there with him up face to face, like that's a big guy. But yeah, I really enjoy what the Cubs have done with this Cubs Hall of Fame thing, where the way that they've handled it the last few years has been a little different, because I don't think people realize that the Cubs Hall of Fame has been around for a while. It just didn't have all of the kind of the pomp and circumstance that it does now. And I like that they do it with the blue jackets and everything. I think it's pretty cool. So, it was a fun way to start the afternoon with, the video highlights of Derrek Lee and Sammy Sosa, two guys who for a couple of decades of Cubs baseball, they might have been just about the only reason you were going to turn a game on. So started off really nicely, even if it didn't finish that way today.
And they got them both to sing the 7th inning stretch. Now, I never would have thought D. Lee'd be up for singing 7th inning stretch. He's a very quiet, very reserved guy. Sammy maybe, but to get him to do it together, I thought the whole weekend was fun. And I agree, it's something the Cubs have done that's been extra. That, listen, not everybody's a Hall of Famer, but there are guys that are different, that are important to this fan base for different reasons. D. Lee's a perfect example. Like, his season is the last 40-homer season in Cubs baseball. And if you want to talk about great seasons, Sammy's the top of the list with, like, bing, bang, and boom.
Yep.
But D. Lee was right there with that season, and it was a really great season for Cubs baseball.
It's a little different for me because I didn't grow up in the Sammy era. I was born in 97, so I was, 6 years old when, 4 years old when Sammy was going. So I wasn't, I didn't know really what baseball was. But Derrek Lee was the first player for me that I fell in love with watching how he played. Guys hitting home runs, and when I was learning the game of baseball and just watching how fundamentally sound he was at first base and just watching him hit the ball 400 feet, and those first two playoff teams that I remember, 2007 and 2008, Derrek Lee being a huge part of those teams. This is a special weekend for two eras of Cubs fans, and I think that was, pretty evident in what you saw in the fan response at Wrigley this weekend, right, Jared? I mean, it feels like there was fans there of all different ages, everybody kind of recognizing how great Sammy is, but then also like, man, this Derrek Lee guy doesn't get nearly the credit he just probably deserves on a grand stand base. But, even Cubs fans recognize how great he was when he was here.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, like Luke was referencing, I would tell any, especially a younger Cubs fan who maybe doesn't really remember Derrek Lee's career all that well or just didn't experience it, I would say go back and look at what Derrek Lee did in 2005. Yeah. That's about wow, what an incredible season. And you know, a guy who, seeing him here at the ballpark today, I'm like, put him in a uniform. He's
yeah.
Maybe get him in that lineup. But yeah, it was a great thing because it's something that pulls all Cubs fans together when you get some of these players. And again, it's something the Cubs do a nice job of, where they get their alum and they get these guys to come back to the ballpark, and the fans always treat them well. So yeah, it's a cool thing to see for sure. And I think an interesting question maybe for Cubs fans to mull over is, you know, who's going to be your next batch of Cubs Hall of Famers? Who goes in after these two guys?
Yeah.
Might be a little bit before we see anybody, but yeah, fun thing to wonder.
I saw a comment in there, Derrek Lee should have won MVP that year, and it's like, while I tend to agree, it's just tough that, you know, he was playing at the same time as one Albert Pujols was playing in 2005. That's just the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. It was a great season for him, but unfortunately not as good as a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Jared, really quick before we let you go, any other nuggets that we need to know about pregame or postgame before we let you go?
I mean, the big thing, and I'm imagining you guys have addressed this already, is it looks like Tucker is not expected to be in the lineup tomorrow, which now raises the question of, okay, what are we waiting for? He's already sat out for 4 days or so. For what it's worth, Craig said before the game that Tucker's making positive progress, and so I would assume they still believe that they can get him back in the lineup before what would be that 10-day period. And that's why they're making this decision. The same with PCA. PCA came into the locker room this morning with like a slight limp. Nothing that, you know, he looked like I do when I get out of bed in the morning and I have to, you know, stretch the legs a little bit before I get going. So nothing severe. So the word on PCA was kind of the same. He's progressing in the direction they want him to. So I don't think we'll see an IL stint for either of those guys.
Can you answer that for us before we let you go? Why do you think Kyle Tucker's not on the injured list yet? Do you know? Could you pinpoint?
My best informed speculation would be that it really just boils down to they believe that he will be ready to play before the 10-day period, and close enough to before it that it's going to make it worth being a man short for now potentially 4 or 5 games. That's my kind of jumbled way of putting it, but yeah, because I think if they had any inkling early on that like this is probably going to come close to 10 days anyway, they probably would have IL'd him. But I think they continue to think we're going to get him back before then, so don't then lose him for longer than we would need to. Because Counsell alluded to today that he thought, you know, if there was a possibility Tucker would be available today, like maybe a pinch hitting situation, that sort of thing. So if he's doing that well, then I would, even if he's not in tomorrow's lineup, it sounds like maybe we see him Tuesday.
All right, thanks, Jared. We appreciate it.
Thanks,
we'll
Jared.
get you on the road and into traffic because you are our D. Lee, by the way. He's our D. Lee. That's our guy right there. Thanks,
Thanks, high praise.
That is. You're our guy. Now we got to get you on the softball team. Thanks, Jared.
See you, man.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, I mean, it is interesting. I mean, you have injuries to 3 key players right now with 19 games to go in the season, and maybe PCA's back as early as tomorrow. But if you had to pick 3 guys to have, like, they're on the list of do not want, and only, knock on wood, could I say that about starting pitchers more than I would say it about some of those guys having, you know, bumps and bruises right now.
Yeah, the PCA thing doesn't worry me too much. He's a young guy that, you know, works his tail off, and I think that he will rest up. And, you know, if it's just a bruise on his knee, that's painful. I mean, you're going to limp a little bit with that. You need obviously your knees are important, but I think that's probably I'd put on the lowest tier of concern at this point. Now, that could impact his ability to run the bases and maybe play the outfield, make some less than insane catches.
Yeah.
But he's still going to be able to make great plays out there and impact the game. So I'm not as concerned about him. The Tucker thing, man, yeah, you need him. You can't I like that they're taking it slow. I like that they're in a playoff position and they're saying we're going to give him the time that he needs. That is the proper approach. I would have IL'd him. They're not doing that. Fine. I'm not going to split hairs over it, but he is the key to everything. If you didn't see it in that Angels series before the Cubs were scoring any runs, that Angels series, they finally broke out. Why did they break out? Oh, because guys were putting it over the wall and Kyle Tucker impacts the entire lineup. So you need to get him right.
All right, time for a quick break. We're going to talk more about Sammy. We're going to talk more about D. Lee, and we might even talk about Phillies Karen. But first, a word from our sponsors. Ray Chevrolet in Fox Lake is slashing prices on new cars and giving you big savings all month long. Come in today to shop the new cars clearance event. Check out their selection over 125 vehicles that are priced under $20,000. With one of the area's largest Chevy inventories, you're sure to find the vehicle you're looking for. And as one of the top-selling Chevy dealers in the Midwest, they're able to keep their prices competitive, so you know you get a great deal. Plus, Ray's Price Promise lets you shop confidently because the price you see is the price you pay. Visit our partner at their convenient location right on Route 12 in Fox Lake, and don't miss out on their new car clearance event going on all month long. Shop Ray Chevrolet in Fox Lake or RayChevrolet.com. They've been serving the community since 1963. Together, let's drive Ray Chevrolet in Fox Lake or RayChevrolet.com. You know the moment. You know the one I'm talking about, the one where you realize you left your favorite sunglasses at the beach or on the roof of your car or at the gas station 3 states away, or you sit on them in the car. I've been there too. Let me tell you. Then I found Shady Rays. It changed the game. These sunglasses are made for real life, seriously good-looking, polarized, durable, and not stupid expensive. Here's the wild part. If you lose them or break them, even on day one, Shady Rays will send you a brand new pair, no guilt trip, just replacements. I got to get them to make readers. That's the next step. So now I wear my sunglasses at least without fear, on hikes, at concerts, on the boat, at the golf course, even with the kids in the car. Shady Rays is eyewear that has your back. We've teamed up with Shady Rays to bring an exclusive offer to you. Head to ShadyRays.com. Use the code CHGO, 35% off polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself the shades that have been rated 5 stars by more than 300,000 people. And tell them Stucky sent you. So a disappointing end to the Cubs game. They lose 6-3. They lose a series to the lowly Nationals at home. And Daniel Palencia leaves with an injury. They're now testing his shoulder for tightness on the backside of it.
Bobby Blanco with a good comment there. If you looked up Tucker's home run road splits, yeah, it is shocking. I mean, he's significantly, it just goes to show you need to try to find a way. I know he's probably been a little bit better on the road this year than at home. I get it, but you got to get him right one way or the other. Good point there, Bobby. I'm glad you brought that up because, yeah, it's been a weird year at Wrigley to hit the ball. That's for sure.
You know, one guy we need to tip our cap to is Carson Kelly.
No doubt.
Like, don't forget the fact that the guy hit 2 home runs. He's up to 16 on the season.
I wrote
Again,
this.
I don't know. I don't remember what the Zips preseason projections were. Some of them were all over the place. If you had Carson Kelly at 16 home runs, congratulations.
So Miguel Amaya last year, 8 homers. Yan Gomes in 2023, 10 homers. Gomes in 2022, 8 homers. Got to go all the way back to 2021 to get this type of offensive production from a Cubs catcher.
And he's
Wilson
your backup
Contreras.
catcher.
Yeah.
He's your backup catcher. The guy shouldn't even be playing as much as he is right now.
Oh, and he's hosing guys down at second base too, by the way.
He's had a great season. It has been a great signing. And I know there was a big stretch of a drought there, and he ended that with that home run, which now he has like 3 in a week.
The fact that you got 15 home runs from Carson Kelly, you can't say another bad thing about him. He was. I remember. So my one of my best friends, he knows baseball very well. He's a Tigers fan, and he hates Carson Kelly because Carson Kelly was such a hole in the Tigers lineup last year. He goes, where is this offensive production coming from this guy? Where in God's name did the Cubs find this production? And I told him this was back after he had the big game against Arizona, the 2-homer game. And I remember telling him, I'm like, listen, he's in a hot stretch right now, and he's having a very good year. But if he gets to 15 home runs, this was me telling him, I'm like, you can give me a call. Call him after this. Because, I didn't think Carson Kelly would get to 15 homers. I thought he was having a great April and May. I didn't think he'd get to 15 home runs this year. He's at 16. With 3 weeks left in the year, he might get to 20. Maybe. We'll see. It's a little high, but he's been excellent. You can't say anything bad about Carson Kelly. The offense has been sleeping and sleepwalking and struggling. It doesn't lay at the feet of their catcher. It's been a great signing from Jed. Both Boyd and Carson Kelly have been huge this year for them.
Nice to see the video of Seiya Suzuki out at the ballpark pretending to take batting practice by himself, right? Like just mental reps more than anything as he tries to break out of it. And then he gets an RBI single that looked like it was going to be a key run in the game, and it was for a long time. He's another guy that not hurt, but you need to try and get him right before things get real serious here down the stretch.
Right. I mean, he's a big, especially when you got your two best players out of your lineup right now injured. You need your third best hitter to step up and do it, and he hasn't yet. There's still time. There's still time to figure it out. Seiya's put up great numbers the last 2 years. You would hope that the back of the baseball card has something to prove. He does tend to go through these stretches of when he's pressing. He's watching a lot of strike threes. Yes, there's been some that have been pretty horrendously called on him, and I think that gets in his head a little bit too, where he thinks, he's like, man, what do I have to do to get a call here? I think that definitely plays a role, but you got to have a little bit of faith that a guy who was a top 20 hitter in baseball last year in terms of WRC plus will get it going here. You just hope it's soon.
Yeah, for sure. So this weekend was also supposed to be about Sammy and D. Lee, and it was. And we talked to Jared about how we like, and he does too, what the Cubs have done with that. And, you know, I think when you look back on it, I think the Cubs saw something that was on the horizon, and that is their great Hall of Famers were getting older. You know, we had the passing of Ryne Sandberg very recently because of cancer. But Billy Williams is getting older. Ron Santo had passed away. We lost Ernie, right? Like, Fergie's getting up there in years too, and you start to see, like, you need to bring the next generation of Cubs fans back because they didn't get to see Ernie and Billy and Santo, and they even Rhino, some of them, or Lee Smith, some didn't get to see. So when you bring back somebody like D. Lee, that's the next generation. Now we're talking younger fans like you are, right?
Yeah, right.
And it's a great thing. And I think back to covering those teams, it was Aramis on one side of the field and D. Lee on the other side. Mm-hmm. But bringing Sammy back brings in a whole nother group of fans too, and it gives nostalgia to the next generation of fans as they now focus on their current players, but remember some of the players that they grew up with. And so I think it's good. Corey Friedman talks about it all the time. He wants to see more D. Lee, wants to see more stuff like that. And I understand that. I do. So I think this weekend was important for that reason too.
The Cubs, when I was growing up, and my first season of really watching baseball and being cognitively understanding what was going on was 2005. And, you know, I knew that the Cubs had some years there, early 2000s, where they'd almost made the World Series. They'd had some great years from Sammy in the 90s, but were never good enough to really do anything. And it was always in school, like, why are you a Cubs fan? You know, this is a losing team. And I remember, I don't know, man, I'm a Cubs fan because my family members are Cubs fans. And then all of a sudden, here comes Derrek Lee for Hee-Sop Choi. And in his first year, it's 32 homers, 280, almost 100 RBIs in his first year. And I'm like, and I just remember watching him play, and I'm like, wow, this guy's amazing. Next year, 40 homers. I mean, he made me love the game of baseball. And
an easy swing hitting those homers, too.
And he was such a great guy. I think that was the other thing. Like, his interviews, he never bus-tossed anybody. There was never any drama with him. He played with some real, I can't say it because we're on Fast Channel, but heads on those teams. Milton Bradley, a couple guys.
Yeah.
Like, there was never anything from Derrek Lee that made you. He was just such a great player in every way. Almost won the NL Triple Crown one year.
Hey, when Big Z lost control, that was D. Lee that stood up to him in the dugout.
Great pull. 100%. I mean, I wasn't lucky enough to watch Sammy Sosa, probably the greatest, Cub that there was. That's up for debate. I know a lot of people would say Ernie Banks, Ronnie, and Rhino. But man, was I lucky to watch Derrek Lee play, and it is important for that generation of fans because you're right. I mean, the Cubs were the lovable. Everybody thought that they were. I was getting made fun of in high school, and I was getting made fun. Like, why are you a Cubs fan?
That
why
had
are you
nothing to do. Oh no,
yeah.
We don't encourage that.
No, but it was. I don't know. I loved seeing him back. That's basically what I'm trying to say is he was a huge part of my childhood, a huge part of a lot of people's childhood. Him and Aram were great. Soriano. I mean, those teams. Remember when the Cubs, I remember exactly where I was when Jim Edmonds caught that ball and they won the division in 2008. Like, that was a core memory for me.
Jim Edmonds, yeah.
Yeah, Jim Edmonds caught a pop-up. Again, they clinched the division against the Cardinals, I think, a 98-win season. Derrek Lee was a huge part of that. Soriano was a huge part of that. I mean, having these guys back and in the Wrigley fold is so important. And it's wonderful. And congratulations, Derrek, man. Like, you mean a lot to this fan base.
Yeah, and I hope this isn't the last time he comes back. I hope he's around more. I hope he's at more Cubs conventions, and I hope he's, open to being back in the spotlight a little bit and around the fans because I think he likes kind of being at home, too.
Ramirez was last year, wasn't he?
Yes.
Ramos Ramirez,
Yeah.
great. I mean, they're both back in the fold. That's awesome. That's really great.
We got 3 minutes left, but do want to mention Philly's Karen. If you haven't seen the social media video, it was all over the internet. It was this dad goes and gets a foul ball that falls in the empty seat.
Is it a home run or a foul ball? I think it was a home run.
A home run.
Yeah, it was
a home run.
Yeah.
He goes into an empty seat, grabs the ball, takes it over to his small son, and gives him the ball. He's all excited, and across comes Karen from the Phillies fan, and she starts just berating him. He finally is just so caught off guard. He's like,
he was shocked.
Yeah, he's like, here, just take the ball.
Yeah.
And now he's become famous and doing interviews because the player then, Bader, I think it was, gave stuff to the kid. Great move.
Yeah.
And she's being vilified on social media, which I was all for at the beginning, but can we just be nice to each other? Like, the woman I'm hoping the woman was, out of her mind and got a little too excited over a foul ball and a kid was involved. If that's the worst mistake you make in life, let's all move on.
If you do look at the video, though, I do agree with you, Luke, 100%. I think she got too excited.
Yeah, she made a huge mistake,
100%.
no question.
But
she
if
should
you do
apologize
look at
to
the
the
video,
kid.
the dad, he was there first because you see it all the time in the ballpark.
She said it was their seats.
Yeah, the ball bounces from one glove.
Yeah.
It bounces from one glove, goes somewhere else, and then somebody else grabs it. That's how it goes.
That's
it bounced on the ground. She wasn't
Right.
first, and the dad got it. She was, it is what it is.
It doesn't make her the worst human being on the planet, though.
It was definitely just
Maybe,
adrenaline and excitement.
don't get me wrong. Maybe she is. I don't know. I'm just
she
saying
is.
none of us know that. I do feel slightly bad for her
Well,
for
nobody
being foolish enough to, do that in the first place.
and nobody wants to slander online. That's not.
Oh,
that's not good.
getting blasted.
Yeah.
They're
There's
pointing out
ways.
where she works and all this other
That's
stuff.
horrible.
Come on.
There's way too much vitriol on Twitter, guys, and I mean it happens every single day. And I will say this, and this is I'm not going to tell you how to cub. I'm going to tell you how to cub here. If you get a foul ball in the stands, this was a home run ball.
Just give it to a kid.
It's a little different. Home run ball, that's a little different. You catch it, you keep it. Personally, if I got a home run ball, it was random regular season game, I'm still giving it to a kid. I understand if you want to keep a home run ball. That's fine. Foul ball, oh my God, guys, give it to a kid.
Now,
come on.
Now, the only
Enough.
thing
Let's
I don't know what her excuse was, but the only excuse I can give an adult for keeping a ball and not giving it to a kid that's sitting around them, okay, is that they have a kid that desperately wants a ball that they're going to take that ball to, right? Like, she may have a son or daughter that is desperate to have a ball, and if it was rightfully in her hand, that'd be a different story, okay? And then I might say to them, I'm taking this to my son. Can I go buy you a ball in the store? You know what I mean? Like,
You never know.
something simple like that. Let's not think the worst out of everybody. It may have been the worst case scenario, but I think at this point she's probably taken enough.
It was
heat
a
over
funny
it.
video, though.
It was a funny
Yeah, it
video,
was funny.
but now I've moved on,
I'm
and I
over
don't
it now.
need to see the meme every 5 seconds.
Quick little side note here.
Yeah, and then
before
we got to
get
go.
out
We
of here.
got like 30 seconds.
Saw Jordan Wicks got the save for Iowa today.
Interesting.
Little wrinkle. I wouldn't read too much into it, but
Interesting.
they're testing him out in a couple different ways.
Huh.
They want to plug and play as much as they can. Maybe that's a guy who gets the call-up if Palencia is IL'd. Keep on CHGO Cubs. Follow us on Twitter. We will obviously break that news when we get it.
Palencia hurt. Tucker won't be back on Monday, but we will be for a post-game show after the game tomorrow. Hope you'll join us then. Until then, Thanks for watching the CHGO Cubs podcast presented by Toyota and Bet365. Thanks to Sarah for running the ones and twos. And thanks to you for joining us. Until next time, don't forget, fly the W.
We all silly like the mayor.